Hi, I'm Alejandro Dominguez, and we're here back again in this exact same spot. Although this time I'm not here to talk about wrestling meets or whatever. This time I'm here to persuade you on something. I'm here to persuade you on a little subject known as school. You might have heard of it. You might go to school. I go to school. You go to school. I'm sure you go to school. Audience members watching at home or wherever you are. So, premises, my name is Alejandro Dominguez. I might have already said that. I am right now on my second year of community college. Today in the audience, we have my sister, Yala Rizzo. What grade are you in?
Fourth.
Nice. And we have the camera person, my other sister, Leslie Rizzo. What grade are you in, camera person?
Ninth.
Nice.
Yes.
So we have a lot of different variety of grade levels, and that's perfect because I'm very curious to see what you guys think about this persuasion of mine. So, without further ado, here's why I think online school is a bit less compared to its counterpart, which is known as in-person school. Now, to go back a bit, let's see how online school became a phenomenon that it is. Well, phenomenon, I mean the word for it. Online school started because this thing called the COVID-19 pandemic. The COVID-19 pandemic basically forced us to use our computers to go to school. It was a very different experience because it happened around March. And for many people, back in the day, was in my last year of high school. It was very bizarre having to do that. Yali here was in her second grade of first through eighth. And the camera person was in their last year of middle school, which is also, that's very drastic to go from in-person learning to like 1 week later, you're looking at a screen at 7 a.m. in the morning. It's very bizarre. Yeah, basically the reason that this all happened was because of COVID-19. Although online learning was already a thing way before COVID was a thing. And as it's been 2 years since COVID, I thought now was the perfect time to examine what exactly has online learning been doing? Like what makes it so different from in-person learning, and like what are the takeaways, and why is overall in-person much better? Well, let's get right into it. The first point I want to bring up is the subjects we learn in school. We learn lots of subjects. We learn math, we learn English, we learn history. What's your favorite subject, Abby?
Math.
Nice. Mine is actually English, so we're kind of opposite. Now, math is a good example because it correlates well with my example I'm going to use, which is science. The difference between online learning and in-person learning is the fact that you have the ability to show students personally, for science at least, what you're actually talking about. Because most people here in the United States would rather be shown rather than told how to do something. I think that's one of the most universal laws. For example, would you rather be told how to do something, or would you rather be shown how to do something?
Shown.
Exactly. So that's what I'm talking about. It's just much more of a dynamic. You're interacting with things. You're actually getting to see how it's done, versus just reading it off the screen and learning the information, which is, of course, reading is essential. But in this scenario, I believe that students would much rather have props, or much rather have a whiteboard where the teacher writes down notes. I wish I had a whiteboard, but I don't. And that's why I believe that overall it's better to be shown for most subjects versus being told how to do them. The next point I wanted to get into is some good exercise. Exercise helps everyone. And through the course of doing online learning, I believe lots of people have been forced to do this for much too long. They pull out a chair, they pull out the computer, and they look at it for 5 hours straight. Obviously, maybe you might go to the bathroom every now and then, but the point is your body needs to exercise. It needs to move around. It needs to move from classroom to classroom. It needs to breathe a little unironically. And I believe, well, it's pretty common. When you go to online school, mostly you just sit down, just look at the screen. That's not really moving around. Versus, for example, when you go to school in person, you actually have to get up in the morning. You have to go outside your house. You have to get in a car. Or walk to school. That's good for your exercise. It's good for your body to exercise. It gets the sun. Sunlight is very good for the body. You can all use sun right now, obviously. It's something that it's not the same going to online school doing that. It's just tragic that we're missing out on that going to online school. Moving on, point number 3. I believe it would be creative in-class assignments. For example, Yali, what's your favorite project you've done in school?
Science.
What kind of science projects have you done?
Where we put a foam ball and you step at least 5 spoons.
Nice.
And they pour water.
So yeah, stuff like that. For my fair project, for example, I would have to give it to this rapification. In short terms, that was a project where my history teacher decided to pair us up in groups of 4 and rap about George Washington and Theodore Roosevelt. It was a wild assignment. But stuff like that. That's what I love about school. These crazy assignments. You never know what assignment a teacher's going to give you. If they're going to make you build something for science, if they're going to make you put together a tax return form, because you do learn taxes in school at some point. Very important, both of you. You will learn how to do that. Very important. Or you're going to get together in a group and talk about Shakespeare. Shakespeare is one of the most prominent works of authors in the English culture. It's not English culture, but you get the point. The point is, there's a lot of things teachers can do to mix up class, as opposed to online where you're just sitting there again. I know it's very cliche that you're just sitting there and taking the information in. But again, this goes back to my previous point, where you're experiencing information in new lights. You're taking a different lens on it, because it's good to change up your lens every now and then. Otherwise, you'll get bored of what you're doing. And I believe that in online school, it's very, very easy to get bored just looking at the screen, which is unfortunate. My next point I want to get into is myplay.gov. Now, this is my most kind of out of left field example, if you will, because myplay.gov obviously is the plate you see online. It has different varieties of foods you need for your body. And I believe, I know a lot of parents can relate to this, at least for my parents. When I was going through online school in the beginning, they did not know what to give me for lunch, because we were so used to going to school and already having my lunches already purchased for me, and I would just eat whatever they had at school, which was nice. It saved us a lot of trouble. But when this whole pandemic happened and we were forced to stay here, oh shoot, we're going to have to make lunch for everyone. Now there's 3 different mouths we have to feed and we have to make lunch. And obviously fine, you can make something in the kitchen. We have a fridge right behind the counter person. Don't show the fridge. And there's just lots of things that when you look at that, you're like, what do I make to eat today? I know, let's make eggs. And of course, eggs are good. Eggs are excellent. But too much protein might get a little repetitive. We're at school, there's always something new to eat every day. You had turkey, you had guacamole with chips. That was one interesting one. You had corn dogs, the list goes on, you get the picture. There's a lot of different things. But the number one thing about school lunches that I think most schools in the United States have is milk. Milk is amazing. It pretty much saves you the trouble of having to bring something to drink from home. Whereas most kids would bring stuff like soda, which is obviously not healthy. Most schools would encourage students to drink a carton of milk per day. And that's great, because most kids, when they're growing up, they need milk to grow.
Yes.
Indeed. And so milk was just a perfect thing to help people go through this. And myplay.gov is very amazing, by the way. I recommend it for everyone. Moving on to my last semi-final point was something very personal to me, which was getting to know your teachers and classmates. Now, a bit of a personal note, I loved all my teachers. I still love all my teachers. I can remember all of my teachers from first grade all the way to where I am now. I've had some amazing teachers. It's been an honor to learn under them, be under their wing, and pretty much get to know them more. And every teacher is different. Some teachers were energetic. Some teachers were very strict. Well, strict is not the best thing, but as you get older, believe me, you need a bit of strictness in your life. That is excellent. So thank you, Ms. Greer. Love you, wherever you are. And some teachers were very silent and were very straightforward with you, which is harsh. Back then, when you're a kid, you probably don't want to be told that English needs to be better. But constructive criticism is a beautiful thing, because if someone tells you over and over again, oh, you're fine, there will be no area for you to improve. In online school, I believe when you get your feedback, it's kind of different reading it and saying, oh, okay, that's what you need to improve on, than having a teacher walk up to you and say, I love your intro paragraph, I love your outros, but I think your body needs a bit more work. And I believe when teachers tell you directly these things, it's just so much more gratifying, because you know what you did good at and what you can improve on. And that's what students want to hear. Another thing is, going off of that point, is getting to know your fellow classmates. Now, I met my best friends, Jonathan, Darius, and Leah, in 6th grade, and I'm grateful for that. If online learning was a thing back then, I don't think I would have been able to connect with really anyone back then as I did as an in-person environment. And there's just so many things like that would have to come to place that wouldn't be possible in online school. The random pairings teachers would make up to do icebreakers and get the students to know each other. You can't just get that feeling going with online school. When you go to online school, it's just not the same, because you really don't, at least most students in my experiences, I've taken up to, I believe, 6 online classes in the course of 3 semesters. It's been so, what's the word for it? Perplexing to know that like there's someone like in a room miles away from you that's in the same situation, yet it's not the easiest to open up in online learning because you can't have these face-to-face interactions with people. It's just not the same. Lastly, the last thing I want to talk about, which is one more personal note, is the memories. As we grow older, these memories of going to school, of waking up early in the morning, being late to school, which is inevitable. Sometimes it happens to us all. We're late. I know I was late a lot of the time. These are memories that when you get older, you're just going to look back and cherish your whole life. And again, I hate to rig on online school, but it's not the same replicant feeling of being able to go to class, have people around you, laugh, struggle, cry. I mean, I didn't cry that much. If you did cry, it's natural. I cried the first day of school, actually, I guess. But it's just something that's so beautiful. The whole education system, your journey from kindergarten to first, second, you get the picture. It's so beautiful, and I hopefully wish that as time goes on, we go back to an in-class learning environment. I believe it is for the better. There's so many points that help us improve as human individuals. School in person helps us grow. I believe that's another great point. We grow. We learn from our mistakes. We learn to carry on. And I believe the biggest takeaway we can at least get from online learning is that perhaps we've taken in-person learning for granted. As time goes on, we're going to realize that something we had back then that we didn't really think of back then as much is the world to us. And that's what I've realized throughout these past, 2 years? I was taking the in-person learning environment for granted, and I sincerely miss it, and I hope one day it goes back to reality. And that's pretty much what I think about the whole dilemma. Is online school better? Some might believe so. Personally, throughout these past, I don't know how many minutes, I hopefully have gotten to you, the audience, you, Yadi, you, Nestle, I've gotten to you the message that perhaps you've taken in school learning for granted, and I am very happy that you turned back, and I cannot wait to return myself. I hope sincerely that we have learned something here today, and I hope you've gotten something from this long message of mine. Thank you for listening, Yadi, camera person, you're awesome. You, people watching this through the Zoom or the Canvas page, thank you, you're amazing. Have a good one.